Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take on this Tuesday. I already got it wrong today earlier. I was out there doing my workout, doing my thing, and called it Monday. Kind of felt like a Monday, but that long weekend, beautiful weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody had a great one and a safe one. So you certainly had a great lead into the weekend on Friday. The markets were absolutely ripping to the upside. All three major indices participating in a big way, and actually all of them essentially just closing on the highs of the day. You go back and you look at the Dow itself. It just started moving to the upside right out of the gate. It was bottom left, upper right, when you're looking at the charts, up 575 points on the Dow. That's a pretty impressive bounce. And it was a continuation of a lot of what we had been seeing over the last week. 390 points, so nearly 400 points on the NASDAQ. Also pretty impressive, a little over 3% there. S&P up about 2.5%. 100 points were added there. So everything was participating to the upside. We had volatility that was starting to come down. A lot of those folks who kept saying, well, the VIX has got to get to 40. The VIX has got to do this. Again, we talked about this, but that VXN was actually the telltale of this, at least this shorter term run that we have seen, because that VXN had gotten above 40. 4 out of 5 days closed above 40. I think that said a lot because of so much of that sell-off that we were seeing was coming from NASDAQ-related stocks. Now the VXN has gotten back into a little bit more comfortable territory, along with the volatility index itself of the S&P 500. That's the VIX. So we had some great volumes, 45.2 million contracts trading on Friday, even though everybody's looking forward to Memorial Day weekend and that big drive, because we know everybody was driving, not just from a normal standpoint, but from the price of gas and everybody's intentions and everything else. It was a big Memorial Day weekend. Bitcoin, still, it was holding underneath that 29,000 level. We had crude, it's 115. Next thing you know, it's got a lot closer to call it 118. We've been watching the price of crude just kind of steadily come back, and it's been moving anywhere. We pulled back. We were in that 95 to 100 level. Once we got back over to 100, we've been holding pretty nicely, and now we've been making another move to the upside from that 110 area, getting a lot closer to 120. 10-year, 274. It had been going down, 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 down. I said it had been, because today we're seeing a little bit of movement to the upside. Get into that in just a second. So what really was powering this? Consumer discretion, no doubt about it. 3.5% move to the upside. Names like Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, Nike, all of which were participating and giving that a really nice push to the upside. Technology up nearly 3.5%. I take a look over at Apple and Microsoft, NVIDIA, and PayPal. Yes, PayPal finally moving to the upside. Adobe, but that move in Apple was extraordinary for that market cap and where that stock is. And we talk about the market value and all the rest of it all the time. But that had a very, very big move on Friday as well. Financials nearly up 2%. It was everybody, it felt like, participating there. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, you go through that, but it was a lot of credit cards as well. American Express and Visa and MasterCard, Capital One, all having a very, very nice day on Friday as well. Materials, everything from the steel names, you get a Nucor, you got U.S. Steel, Freeport Mac for the copper side of things, Cleveland Cliffs is also another one really participating. That was up over 2%, nearly 2.5% as well for materials. So a very, very big moving day. We had names like Ulta moving to the upside. You had Moderna moving to the upside. Some of those Chinese names, PDD leading the charge. Okta, Docu, Marvell, all those names having a pretty decent day. There was some negativity, but not a whole lot, not in a meaningful way. We did have some push down. Look over at something like a Bristol Myers. I look over at CF Industries. Workday definitely one of those names that was getting pushed to the downside. So was the bull move continuing today? Maybe there's a little bit of a pause. Early on, looking at the Dow, it was down about 200 points in the pre-market, down about 30 points for the NASDAQ. NASDAQ really hadn't moved too far away from just that flat line. But as we get into the day, we're down over 400 points in the first half hour or so. Then we're down about 340, 350. Then we started to come back pretty nicely on the Dow. Actually got all the way to the point where we were down less than 200 points. But last I looked, we were down about 225 points. As a matter of fact, the NASDAQ started to get a little bit of selling pressure as well. It was down about 100 points. Crude got all the way up and over that 119 level, pulled back a little bit from that level, We had volatility in a fairly tight range, but it had been holding over 28. It was up about 9% this morning early on. Bitcoin, a really nice bounce. If you go all the way back to Friday, I was talking about where it was under 29,000 today, closer to 32,000, 31,500, 700, somewhere in that range. I did talk about also, we see the 10-year, and it did get a little bit of a lift today. It was up towards that 285 level. So down, 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 a little bit of a pause from that and a little bit of a push to the upside. So early on, we look over at some of those sectors. Healthcare, that was one of those getting beat up. Industrials getting beat up a little bit, down about 1.5% apiece. Financials were down about 1%. Did get a little bit of move in some of these. Materials did fall a little bit further. Healthcare tried to come back a little bit. Energy's been working on a positive side of things, up about 1.5%. Last I looked, it was up about 1.75%. Only sector that was in the green early on was energy. As a matter of fact, CVX was the only Dow stock for a period of time that was in the green from the 30 stocks in the Dow. Gives you another little bit of a perspective. Talk about inflation over in Europe, some of those levels where it is right now may measure over 8%. So that's something that was getting a little bit of focus. Talked about energy already, but as far as the unusual option activity that we are seeing, we looked at early on. First 9 trades, 6 were in energy, all 6 very bullish. So still looking for more and more and more to the upside out of energy. We might even have a couple of those for the unusual I've got for you. So when I look at what's going on from a mover perspective right now, I got Marathon, I got APA, I've got Occidental, I've got Hess, I've got Devon, you've got Chevron, you've got Exxon. All of those energy names having a really, really great start today. Some of the Chinese names having a nice start. JD, PDD, Baidu as well. Amazon and Tesla kind of fighting the trend of what we were seeing in some of those sectors, but they were in positive territory early on. What's pulling on the markets? Names like Illumina, names like Seagate, some of the airlines. We look at United and Delta, also Ulta, which had a really, really nice earnings and also followed through as far as the stock, giving back a little bit today. Sometimes that happens. I'm looking at Old Dominion in the trucking space as well. That one, we're talking about freight there. Semiconductors off a little bit. You look at names like Applied Materials, throw in NXPI, but a lot of different names within the semiconductor sort of getting a pull to the downside as well. So as we get into unusual, before we get to that, I got to stop and just say this. You're going to want to watch tomorrow after the close, right at the close. You're going to see John. You're going to see a lot of the different guys from Market Rebellion. Ryan and Wayne are a part of this. They're all going to be focusing on how do we follow the smart money? How do we follow the unusual option activity? That's something they're going to be hitting right out of the gate. They'll be doing it tomorrow right at the market close. You're going to want to sign up for that. If there's a link on there right now, just click on that link. It'll give you the opportunity. And if you're not able to attend, they'll actually send it out later as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you're able to consume a little bit of the info that those guys are going to be given. I got 2 unusuals before we get out of here. I talked about energy. There are so many energy names, it was tough to pick which ones, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you Occidental. Now, that's a name that has been absolutely ripping and tearing to the upside. A lot of different reasons behind that, including some of the folks that have gotten involved in that name in the last couple of months, or maybe even a little bit longer than that, Warren Buffett's of the world and so forth. Stock was trading about $73.50. 3,100 of the July 1st expiring 80 calls getting bought. Those are getting bought from anywhere between $220 up to about $230, 3,100 of those. We have seen a lot of other names, but every once in a while you see names that are also unusual. So that's why I'm going with this one. Synovus Energy. We've talked about this one actually not too terribly long ago with some unusual. Seeing it again today. Now we're talking about integrated. We're talking about Canadian company. 10,000 of the June 25 calls. Stock was in the 23s. The June 25 calls getting bought today for about 50 cents. So an inexpensive option, but obviously a fairly short expiration cycle in front of you right now. But they're seeing the buying of 10,000 of those. There is a lot going on in energy, some very big size players in that, and some of the EV space as well. Just a little bit of a teaser for you. I'm Pete Najarian. If you didn't understand what I was talking about, you always want to get educated. There's a million different ways that you can do it online. You can do books. Follow Smart Money is one of them. But you also have the educational guys here at Market Rebellion. Love these guys. I think they do an absolutely outstanding job. You want to know something about the derivatives markets. We are seeing now those volumes for the month of May actually finishing up very, very strong. And so that's something I think you're going to want to pay attention to and understand the derivatives markets as much as you can. Have a great day at trading.